Hi. Hello. Yes, that's me. Hi. I am Jenny Wallach, and I am here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've been in real estate now for 24 years. I have seen lots of different real estate markets, as some of you know, if you've been in for a bit, that this market today is different than what it was just a short time ago. And how fun is it that we get to always be adapting and learning and growing and improving on our skills and our conversations. And that's really what today is all about. So, I love just each month sharing on a topic that with systems and plans and processes that we actually use in our business. So, everything I'm going to share with you here today is actually what we do to help families in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. So, about around 100 families each year is what we end up helping. And with the production and the amount of properties that actually sell each year depends on what's happening in the market. But that is so consistent for us. And why I love that and know that, we are actually doing what we say we do is by when you have a plan in place and you have systems and a communication connection with people, then when they do think of real estate or hear of someone who may need some help, they will think of you. And that's our job is to always just be planting the seed that when it's the right time, that we are ready and available for them. So today is specifically about sellers. Now, we know that sellers are the lifeblood of our business. Now, referrals are also important, of course. We got to have leads, but besides the leads, just in general leads, we got to take listings, and that comes right from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And we know that the triangle, it's so important to build our business on our leads, listings, and leverage. Today is focusing on sellers. Last month, we did a buyer plan. I shared with you all the steps that we take in making sure that we're helping our buyers achieve their goals. Today, sellers. And what is the most important thing is that we remember and acknowledge that when we are able to list a property, we have so many marketing and prospecting and communication opportunities all around that one house. And it is a big responsibility. There's a lot that goes into it. So today I'm just going to walk you through our process and our plan. And then, of course, please be ready to ask questions. I'll take a break about halfway through and at the end where we can share. So here we go. This is List to Thrive, a guide to successful listings and a lasting business. And I'm Jenny. Let's rock. Okay. So here's the deal. Listings are the gift of the real estate gods. And besides just knowing this from being in the business for so long, I also know it's true because it's in this red book. That's right. It is on page 41. And the authors, Gary, Jay, and Dave, say that it's right here. At the end of the day, listings give you better control. They give you better control of your time, which is precious, your marketplace, and your future. That's why we affectionately call them the gift of the real estate gods. Now, I'm going to do a little bit more reading here just because I think that this helps hammer in the reminder and the idea. And although this hasn't been written in a few years, it still holds true today. So right here they say on page 42, so from the very start, by concentrating on listings first and foremost, you could potentially double or triple your gross income on the same amount of work. If this isn't incentive enough, then consider how listings provide a lead generation platform through direct mail, ads, signage, and open houses. Now, in today's world, I'd add in also by utilizing video technology on YouTube, social media, and other email campaigns that can allow you to prospect and communicate with others around that one property. In fact, it is a fact that being in the listing business begets more business. Our research shows that one listing properly marketed should generate enough leads to produce a minimum of one closed buyer. At the end of the day, listings give you better control. They give you better control of your time, your marketplace. There we go. And your future. That's why they are the gift of the real estate gods. Now, just think about this, and even whether you are a solo agent or on a team, if you're on a team, you may work with buyers or you may work with sellers. But here's the deal for your business in general, taking listings begets more listings and more opportunities. So if you are happen to be a buyer agent on a team, still helping bring in additional seller listings, help generate more buyer sign calls, more opportunities to do open houses at that property, more opportunities to promote that property so you attract even more people to you that may need some real estate help. So this is why we first just get our mindset right around sellers. So what are your thoughts about sellers? The truth is, my early days, of course, I was a younger person. I hadn't bought or sold a home back then, and I had total fear around sellers. Now, seem a little bit more exciting, right? Like you're going to help them find their dream home. This is fun. We're going to look at all the houses for sale, and then we'll find that one perfect dream home. Doesn't always work out the way, but that could be what our mindset may be like. But with sellers, they take a little more skill, a little more guts and grit in making sure that you are really guiding them through the reality of the current market. And so I think first you just have to get your mindset right around sellers do, like we just read and we just learned, is that sellers really help bring in other business as well. And that is obviously our point and our goal. So whenever we're thinking about our business, and I'm going to go through and follow it up along in our workbook here, but when we think about sellers in our business, you've probably heard of the term value proposition. What's the value that you provide to a person who wants to sell their home? Well, we need to think about this. Now, in my early days, I also thought I had no value. I didn't see that I had anything that was great or outstanding. I thought, oh, well, everyone can just put the property on the MLS and a sign in the yard, and we'll just, promote it that people will bring me an offer, and that's how it works. But the truth is, you have unique skills and abilities. You do. I mean, this could even be your background before you got into real estate. For example, were you a teacher, especially an elementary education teacher? That tells me you probably have a lot of patience and understanding, and you're good at educating and teaching people how to best set themselves up for success. What was your previous career or experiences that allow you to best connect with your people? Now, whenever I think about value proposition, this also comes from a class that we teach called Value Squared. And in that class, they say that the goal of all sellers is to net the most amount of money with the fewest amount of hassles in the least amount of time. And if you've heard that before, or you may use it, because that really does mostly encompass the goal of people who are trying to sell their home. However, I would like to break it down for a minute because this will also be personalized. There could be a reason that somebody needs to sell quickly, and so that would be the timing piece. And so they may be okay with taking less money to have even fewer hassles. So all of these could be worked into the favor of whatever the true motivations are for the client. It's just our job to explain and share the market with them so they know where they are and how they are in alignment with this. Now, another phrase that I've used all of my real estate career is that there's really only three things that go into selling a home. Now, you've probably heard them before, and you've heard us say that it's either the price, the condition, or the location. And how though, what that means though, is that the price needs to be appropriate for the property's condition and the location that it is in. You know that there's specific pockets or areas of town where maybe the location is outstanding and you just can't even believe the prices that some people get for the condition that that home is in. We have an area in town called Midtown Tulsa, and the prices are often all over the place, and it does become a challenge in order to best help our clients price the home. But we do our very best through the process that I'm going to share with you here. So these are just some little key phrases and reminders for us as we dive into the value that we can share with the seller. And first and foremost, it always, always, always starts with conversations, curious conversations. You asking so many questions that they feel cared about, they feel heard, and they feel appreciated. But let's go ahead and roll on through. So this comes also from this book that's read that I reference all the time. I don't have to reinvent the wheel with this business because I have all these cool resources already created for me. And this comes right from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So if you are an agent who you are, because you're here hanging out with me, and you know that you'd like to help sellers, but you don't really have a plan in place yet, you can just work through this slide. You've got it right here in your workbook. So these are just the different service areas. We're in the service business, aren't we? Not just sales. We are in the service business. We are here to serve our clients at the highest level. So how do we and do we have a checklist and a system or a process or a conversation in place already inside of each of these 10 service areas? So this is can be a challenge for you. After today, you could sit down with your workbook here and you could say, okay, when I am first meeting with a client who wants to sell their home, how do I properly determine their needs? So I'm going to clarify and understand their reasons for wanting to make a move. I want to understand their timeline so that I can help them achieve that goal. And so, what are the questions that you ask or the processes that you follow? Now, this goes all the way through to your pricing strategy, how we're going to prepare your home to get it on the market. What we found, honestly, with our team and our clients is that what is so important for us, at least, is that we go slow to go fast. Now, what that means is that sometimes people, if they've waited too long and they have a crunch on their timeline, that could be a disadvantage to them. So we're always doing the best we can in our marketing and our messaging through social media, et cetera, of sharing like it's never too early to start chatting with us about your plans because it always takes, right? You guys agree, right? It always takes way more time getting the home ready, just even cleaning out some things. We don't require that our sellers do a total overhaul of their home, but they do need to tidy up. We like to call it pre-pack. Let's go ahead and start pre-packing some of this stuff because you are going to move because we're going to help you get your home sold. So all of that prep, the cleaning, the preparing for pictures, maybe videography that is done in advance, all maybe in pre-inspections. I'll talk more about those. Those are important. If the home does need, you need some guidance on pricing, a pre-appraisal, all of these take way more time than we think that they do. But what happens? We've seen it over and over again. When we take more time on the front end, it sells faster once it's active. So take the time and don't, we even had to have a like team meeting and reminders that we control the timeline. The sellers need to understand that we're doing this timeline on purpose and for their best interests. So think through like what's your marketing strategy? What happens here and there? And when you get an offer, how does that process go? What are your best practices inside of these to help them negotiate to sell when they're actually getting under contract? What's that next process? The pre-close, right before closing is coming down the pike, do you have an email and a touch point that says, hey, it's time to make sure that your utilities are turned off on by this date, and go ahead and start collecting up your keys and your remotes and all these little tips and reminders that you're always reminding your clients to do. Just have it in one spot where at least even if you're having the conversation, they can see it visually as well, maybe through an email or a video message. And then closing. a lot can happen right before the day of final walkthroughs are going on, making sure the documents are correct, last minute things that come up all the time, like we know they do. And then now we have closed. That's exciting. What's your follow-up plan afterwards? See, because this is what I know to be true is that we put so much time, energy, and effort into deepening this relationship where they trust us and they believe, we're all in on this together. And then we have this fatal error afterwards. And that's just moving on to the next client and forgetting to check in with them. How you doing since the move? Do you need any service providers that you've discovered? What can I do to help you? Or just how's it looking so far? I can't wait to see it. Let me know when you're all moved in. I'd love to swing by and say hi. Any of these options are fine. It just has to be a follow-up of some kind. Now, whenever we're thinking about your value, so you have all these different ideas of what you could provide. Now, it doesn't have to be unique, but you do need to share it with them. See, that's the thing is a lot of times agents will just go to an appointment and just wing it. They'll just wing it. And I probably was a winger at one point until I failed, until I got beat out by that one brand new agent in my office who came prepared more than I was. I went to an appointment that was a referral, personal referral, and I just went in and acted like I already had the listing. Well, the truth was, this other agent also got a referral to meet these people. She came in and acted as a professional and walked them through the whole process. And she was in my office and a friend and down the hall from me when she shared that she got this listing. And I was humiliated. So that's only one time, right? We call these fail forwards. I learned the lesson that even if it's a friend or a referral, you still treat them as if they are someone you don't know and you're going up against 20 other agents, which might not be the case, but you still have to act as a professional. So when you know your value, then you present it to them in a written form of some kind. I'll share ours with you here in a minute of how we walk them through our presentation. But see, for me, and we'll dive deep into these ideas in a minute, but what would always stand out to me are what are ways that I can offer help in addition, on top of what other agents may be sharing. Now, I'm going to dive into these here in a minute. We call these offers. These are our arsenal of offers. And so, if I came to you as an agent and you needed to sell your home, and I could hear from our conversation some of these stressors or concerns, then I could pull which of these offers or programs or guarantees that we share of one that could help you. It's not overcoming objections, it's just making them feel more comfortable that we've got them. I'll dive deeper in those in just a minute. But we're talking about your value. Now, I share this all the time, is that I think our value is our promise. Now, the promise has been around a while, and I know you've all heard of it before, but are you using it? No, really. Are you? Are you using it? Because if you are, then you know that when you share your promise with the clients from the start of your, all that you're going to do to help them through the process, it's holding you accountable to actually doing them. So I'll share with you real quick our promise. And so this is a one pager. It's inside of our presentation book. I'm going to share a link to this presentation book where you guys can rip off and duplicate or borrow some ideas from it. But it's actually just a whole page inside of our presentation that we print off, nice quality paper. It doesn't have to be fancy though. I ran my business for years and years and years from taking presentations that I printed on my home printer, probably on thin, crappy paper, put it inside of an Office Depot 3-ring binder, clipped together pieces of paper, and I still took listings. So don't overthink the execution of the plan. Just have a plan that you can share with them in writing. today's technology does make it pretty darn easy to borrow other presentations that have gone before us. Now, whether it's KW Command, it's Command, or even Canva, you can create your own presentations or hire someone to help you out to make it pretty. But this is our mission. So just as a team, so I teach a Quantum Leap, and in Quantum Leap, we really help others tap into their personal mission statement. So I was really already in the practice of having a mission, but it's important for a business too. And so we sat down as a team years ago and we just really brainstormed, who are we? What matters to us? How are we defined when we think about our business and how we want to serve people? And so we say that our promise, our mission is to deliver on our promise, which we talk about just below. And we say that we will provide the highest quality client experience. That's our goal, with a sense of warmth and friendliness. We like to think that we're warm and friendly. And we have a learning-based culture. If you guys have hung out with me at all, you know that I take the classes and the certifications, and I'm always learning. And so obviously our team members are learning-based as well, always training and improving. So we have a learning-based culture, true, and we're dedicated to giving back to our clients. We give back to our clients through delivering a great experience, through loving on them in times that could be a challenge, on maybe making a donation to their favorite nonprofit at the end of our closing. And we love on our community. And we do that through promoting local nonprofits. We attach a nonprofit to every single one of our client events, online or in person. And we promote local nonprofits through video and video tours, etc. And so we also then commit to supporting our local business partners. This is our B2B relationships, which I talk about often. We have a channel called Tulsa Looks Good on You, which is an Instagram and Facebook page, and on our website, a channel where we are interviewing local businesses because it feels good and it's important for us to do that. Allows us to give back to our community. And then lastly, we empower our youth through education and personal growth. We know that they're the future. Our clients either have children or have family members with children, and we know that our legacy is what carries on. And how we do that is through teaching Quantum Leap for young adults and also offering up scholarships to those who attend. So that was a big lot of words there to define our mission. But if you were to think about your mission for your team, could you borrow some of these ideas? Or what is important to you? Make it touchy-feely that people can actually see who you are and feel who you are just by the words that you share. Now, our promise is just below, and you've seen different versions of this. I've taught the full extent one with going really deep on the conversation that we learned from Mike Hicks years ago. Our friend Tony Baroni uses it as well. And so ours is a snippet that just says, our promise is that we're going to work as a team to ensure a smooth and seamless transaction from start to finish, that we're going to exceed your expectations, and you guys can read all the rest. But the reason we spell all of this out is so that, again, this is an accountability piece. If I share with you as our client or a future client, potential client, that I'm going to do these things, I've got to actually do these things. There is a huge accountability inside of this, which I love, right? Because if we're always determined to live our mission and deliver on our promise, we need to be doing that. Now, next, this is how you kind of wrap it all up. My daughter's probably home, so we can, sorry if the dogs bark. So the promise part continues with the goal, and this is at the bottom of the one pager still, because the whole point here is that if you've presented this value to them, then we're going to also remind them what they can do for us. I know it's kind of interesting, but the truth is that sometimes we just have to plant the seed for them that during the process of us working together, it's very likely they're going to come across friends or family members who might also have some real estate questions. And here we just line out for them like, hey, maybe they just have a general questions. Maybe they need to buy or sell. Maybe they want to refi. Maybe they just need some general question about their property of some kind. Either way, whatever it is, we know 100%, we have a 100% chance that we will follow up and get in touch with them. So we are just reminding them at the first appointment of the value of working with us is that we are going to deliver on this mission and our promise, and that we would love for them to share our name or at least a referral or a review for us when we are done. That's that reminder. Okay, I'm going to talk about this and then I'm going to pause so I can hear some questions or comments or any additional ideas you guys may have. So when now we're talking about we've gotten our value pretty clear. We know what value we have for people, but now what is our customer service plan? Remember, we have a service plan. So, what is your service plan? I like using these five S's. I've taught them a million times. This is actually what next month's class is going to be all about is deliver an amazing client experience. And so we set expectations. You can take notes on this in your little space there in your workbook. But you set expectations from the very start with them. So what does that sound like? What does it look like? Getting agreement. And then we're going to serve them. So we do what we say we're going to do. Once we have that agreement in writing, we're going to do our job. Then we're going to survey them along the way. So new listing, seller goes on the market, and we have set the expectations. We're doing our job, and we're going to check in. And guess what? In a market when days on market is increasing, guess what needs to happen even more? More check-ins, more communication. Because with the absence of a conversation each week, an absence of activity, they're going to start creating stories. And guess what the stories are? Not good. They are not good about you. They're going to start saying that you're not doing your job, you are not helping them, and we don't want that. So even if there is nothing new to report, still a check-in, a phone call, a voicemail, a text. If you need to rotate them or you want to say, I'm an all phone call person, I'm going to have a call with you each week and it always goes to their voicemail. You can leave the message, you can shoot them a text. Hey, it's Jenny. I just wanted to check in. Not much is happening this week, but I did want to update you. We have an open house on the calendar, on and on and on, right? Because the communication is so crucial. Now, with this, we are going to also do our best to surpass any expectations. We're going to take that extra step to make sure that they are taken care of. And we will sustain the relationship. Sustaining the relationship just means that once closing happens, that we stay in communication with them, that we keep up the relationship, that we invite them to the next client event, that we touch base with them at least quarterly to let them know that we're thinking about them. I love the idea of an annual equity analysis where you're updating your clients on the value of their home. So I wanted to share with you guys the customer service piece of that because you have a plan. You might just not have it documented. And I'll walk you through here in a minute. I'll share with you our listing presentation book where we walk through all the different service levels that we provide them. The other piece about customer service, and this came right from that value squared class as well. And they were saying your customer service, your service plan that you provide your people is before you meet with them, during the time working with them, and after. And so think about you're always on stage. How are you showing up and appear, and how do you act? Are you presenting yourself as a professional? Now, remember, many of the people that you work with, this could be the first time that they are selling a property. It could be maybe the biggest financial decision that they're making in their lifetime. We have to understand that not all these lovely people that we get to work with or potentially help have done this before. Sometimes we get in the grind of it that we just kind of run on over them and just assume that they know things. So our communication, we can never over communicate. And I love the phrase closed loop. That means we're always coming back around to close the loop on any open communication we want to wrap up. It's really a great reminder for when you're discussing things with people. Okay, now we're going to talk about these four C's. I have taught this class before. You've probably attended. I've got it on the calendar later this year. And it was the dig for database diamonds with the four C's. And I came up with this because our team, sometimes we generate leads, we capture a name or a phone number, but we haven't yet quite connected with them. So, how are we going to make sure we connect so that we can convert them to an appointment face to face or through Zoom, preferably? Face to face is always the best, so that then we can actually close them to an agreement. We've captured their contact info, we've connected with them to have a two-way conversation, we've converted them to an appointment, and then we close by signing a listing agreement to work together. So I'm going to dive into each of these four C's and we'll work through them. So capturing sellers is the goal. To capture an opportunity of someone who has raised a hand that they need to sell a property. So we're first talking about capture. So capturing means, by definition, you have their name and some form of contact info, preferably a phone number. It could be an email address, and ugh, you got to chase that down and find creative ways to get responses. It could be a physical address. If you have all four, name, phone, email, and physical address, heck yeah, that's a win. Then you're really ready to rock when it comes to connecting beyond just that capture. So I have this lead sheet on purpose in here, and this is what I've used this forever. Now, why I think it's important to have a physical copy is because if you're like me, you might forget about people. It's true, it happens. I have sticky notes all over the place too. But when I would carry around this physical piece of paper inside of a folder, then I could not forget about them. This was my business. I'm going to carry this business because what I noticed, at least with our team, is we do utilize technology. So a lead or referral comes into the system, they get put into the CRM, they have notes added, the contact information is provided. And then action plans, reminders, smart plans get attached to them. But if you don't go back to your CRM, you could absolutely forget about them. Or what if tomorrow, heavens to Betsy, it's all disappeared and you have no technology? At least a piece of paper, whether it's a notebook or whatever your system looks like, um, allows you to always know who you're working with. So this is just an example, and I've got it here for you guys to look at. Now, yes, I mean, this is just so, and why I and used it forever is because I didn't want to forget important questions. Am I going to read this like a nurse at a doctor's office, like robotic, reading? No, this is a conversation. But for you behind the scenes, they don't see your seller lead sheet. They don't see this. They just hear your voice. So you're just going to start at the top and ask these questions. Oh gosh, it's Jenny, and thanks for calling, and I'm so happy to get to connect with you about the future sale of your home. So just give me a little bit of information if you can, what's your address? Awesome. What's your best email? It is an intake form because you do need all of this information for later. Now, you do want to understand, okay, cool. Does anyone else live with you in the home? Yeah, it's my spouse and my kids and all this stuff. You're just taking down all the information that you possibly can. The more data you have later, the better your follow-up plan can be. Asking them about, so have you already talked with someone about helping you to sell your home? Have you signed an agreement? These are just conversational questions. Again, not robotic, but reminders of questions for you to ask. Hey, just briefly describe your home for me. This is where they're going to tell you all the updates they've made, how amazing the house is. You'll want to take notes. I mean, of course, you're going to verify how many square feet do they think they have? Two-story, one-story, bedrooms, bathroom, pool, yes, no, any updates that they've made since they've owned it. Again, not robotic, just questions. But it allows you to be fully armed and empowered. Now, this one we haven't had in a while, but on the financial part, how much do you owe on your mortgage? And then the piece that was the old days, but could be coming back is, are you up to date on your payments? Is that important? Yes. Should you know that when you're taking potentially working with someone? Yes. And so maybe add that in there. Do you have a mortgage? How much is on your mortgage? In my earlier days, I was always afraid to ask this question, but it is so important. It's not because you're going to strategically try and undercut the sales price, but you do want to help them achieve the goal of netting the most amount of money. And if you can get them priced at this amount and they sell it at this amount, here's all the money equity you've achieved. This is awesome. And you can help them with what they're going to do next. I love making sure that we're tracking where they came from. What do you expect from your realtor? What is it that is important to you? Especially when you ask this over the phone, it's important because they're going to tell you. I want someone who is going to do this, and do this. And if those are reasonable and in alignment, you're like, okay, cool, I got this. You also want to make sure that you know if they're interviewing other agents. Lots of times people don't. And if you've researched the National Association of Realtors every year does a study, a survey on buyers and sellers. And I don't have the data in front of me to know the exact info right now in my brain, but it usually ends up being that 81% of sellers will work with someone that was referred to them. So that's really great. And then also, like the first one or two people that they talk to, they're only going to work with, they're not going to be interviewing a handful of people. It's very unlikely in today's world. They've done the online research of you, they've already checked you out online. So, anyway, then you're going to close for the appointment, making sure. Now, it's just a convo here so you don't forget to do it, right? Hey, well, it sounds like with all the information you've provided me that it'd be great for us to get together so I can help you accomplish your goal. Here's some options and times. What works best for you? When would be a good time? And then you can have your little checklist here. I just spent time going through that because I want you to understand that asking all the questions on the front end makes everything else easier later on. This is the slowing down to speed up later. So we first capture their info and now we're going to connect with them. Connect means deepening the relationship. So I just use these 6 connecting questions right from Shift, comes from the book. And this will help you also if you are out and about on the phone, in the car, and you don't have this lead sheet with you. This is a great reminder. Who are they? What do they want to do? Where do they want to do it? Why? When? And how? And if you just ask all these different questions, then they're going to fill in the blanks for you. And that tells you how we can best serve them. So with all of that information, we have different arsenal of offers. I'm going to share all these offers with you. I'm not going to talk through all of them, but the point is that you have these different offers inside of your business. You just haven't put them into what you call a program or a guarantee. But a lot of times you can see I've got them all kind of categorized and you have them in your workbook as well. So again, you guys can dive into these and go deeper on them if you need to. But the point is that you want to get to an appointment, a face-to-face with them, right? So if you're hearing that a seller is concerned that, gosh, I don't know like how many, if we need to update some things, because I know that some of our mechanicals are older. I don't know exactly certain things. Then you can say, have you been open-minded to hearing about our certified pre-owned home program? And they'll be like, well, what's that? And you're like, well, great. This is why we should get together and why so many sellers work with us. It's where we'll walk you through the reasons why it might be a smart idea to go ahead and move forward with a pre-inspection of some kind to make sure that all things are tidied up. So when would be a good time for us to get together? So these are all the different ideas and programs, offers, guarantees that you can share with your clients. And for time's sake, I can't dive into each of them, but I definitely chat about them all the time. So we can definitely find resources if you need them. Here's the other ones, just guarantees and ideas. Instead of ultimatums, you give them some options. And then the goal is we've had the two-way conversation, we got to get to the appointment. So that is always the goal. Now, when we do this, and I'll share, I'm not going to go through all of this right now, but Shai can definitely help put this into I bet I can. I'm going to just copy this for you guys to take a look at it. This is just our pre-listing video. It goes out in advance when we set the appointment. It just talks about how here's some info before we meet. Here's a VIP questionnaire you can fill out. You could start working on the disclosure. Here's our seller presentation. Any of our other online statistics or online reviews, go ahead and review all that before we meet. So that's our pre-listing plan. They get this pre-listing video email in advance that lets them know that we're professional, we're ready to help them. So with this pre-listing packet, if you will, this is where you can go ahead and send that video email off in advance. You're going to prepare your paperwork. We just have these cute little folders, not fancy, just simple little folders. But inside of it, we'll take it with us and we'll have, our plan, our disclosures, our pamphlets, any additional documentation that is needing. We're going to get, the agreement signed once we do. And remember that if you're at the appointment, you're at a yes. So all of this is the pre-plan that you're already preparing for, but then you do get to the actual appointment. When we're there, face to face, how exciting, we've arrived. I like to remind everyone that we want to be early and prepared. This is shake their hand and smile, take off your shoes if appropriate. You want to read the room, it's their home. I like doing the tour, the walking tour. I want to gather the details about the house while taking notes, but I'm also asking questions to understand them. You're going to discover behavioral styles. You're going to discover what they love most about the home that might be highlights for later on. I'm going to sit at the table with them, preferably with few distractions going on, them sitting side by side so you can look at them together. No, table tennis of looking back and forth. And you get to control this stuff, okay? Then thank them for the opportunity. I'm always finding that I'm surprised by the lack of questions we ask because I never am going to dive into any of this stuff until I've asked a ton of questions. Now, remember, we already had this lead sheet, so I could just pull it out and go back over it to confirm some of the things or get the other partner's perspective on stuff. But I learned this from our friend Phil Jones and used some phraseology of his because I do always want to get started when I'm first meeting with them with asking. All right, so you shared with me your wants and your dreams, your goals, and just out of curiosity, if everything went exactly the way that you hoped, what would this process look like from start to finish? And let them talk. They are going to tell you what they expect. They're going to tell you what's most important to them. Let them talk. Ask the questions and let them talk. Now, here's our seller presentation. For time's sake, I'm not going to go through every single page because our listing presentation is, might take a while and we don't have that kind of time. But you do have this link that we are definitely going to share with you. It's probably in the chat already. We'll share it again. But this is the online version of this physical book. You can even be an online agent if you want. You can just create your presentation, have it in a PDF form, upload it to this tool called Issuu, ISSUU, for free, and you can see the presentation manual, all the things we're going to share with them. We're going to share with them the value of working with us, the process from start to finish, all the things that we're going to help them with. We're going to share with them market data, MLS info that shows the value of why they would want to choose us because we help them net more money. Talk about the marketing plan that we have, the places we're going to promote their property, the value of a staged home if that is part of your plan. A lot of times sellers have their home in great condition and they don't need staging. But we do offer a consultation with a designer just to come by for an hour and give them some advice and tips. We've got previous success stories and testimonials. This is where other people get to say how great you are, even instead of you. Now, this is where I think this needs to be like a whole class in itself, and I'll look at putting something on the calendar. But this is where you're going to sit for a little bit. This is your pricing. See what the title of both pages are? Pricing to sell. This is where you're going to sit in the convo around the importance of pricing right. Today's conversation, I can't go all into it, but you guys know that it's about pricing correctly based on the current condition and the current market and the location that it's located in. And pricing is strategic. We know that the most amount of activity will be in their first few weeks on the market, and if not, activity will wane and so will their opportunity of netting that highest price they wanted from the start. So let's price it right in order to compete to competition. Then we wrap up by talking about our goal of helping them sell their home. That also allows us to do what we love, which is giving back to our community. We just make a donation of $100 at closing to our clients' favorite nonprofits. Here's our promise I already went through with you, and that's about it. So usually by the time we're done with working through all of those, we've stopped and paused at, the timeline, and we're talking about here's what happens here and here and here and here and here and here. They really see the value of working with us. During that timeline is where we talk about those initial, remember, value services, right? The services that we provide. This is how we'll help you through all of these different phases. And then here's just some tips. So this is like inside of our little book, as we call it, a personal note. We have a note card that can be pre-filled out that just is dropped in the mail. The agent can handwrite themselves. Some resume, just some data and details about you, success story. I just went through the book, so you got to see all of these things. You can have a link to that. And then really the reminder is to surprise and delight. So what we do for our sellers and our buyers at the appointment is we bring a little swag bag of goodies. We've got a water bottle and a koozie and a little notepad with our logo on it and some packing tape because we want to remind them that this is real. They're going to sell their home. They're going to get moving and we want to help them along the way. So these surprise and delight touches through the process with your clients will really help you in order to generate online reviews and referrals, which is what it's all about, is helping them achieve their goals. And then we close. This is the final C, and this is the getting the agreement signed. So you guys can imagine if we were sitting here together and I really had the time to go deep, ask all even more curious questions, go through the process, share with them the data and the details. The market is what it is, and the market is how we're going to price your home, not based on your emotions or what your neighbor's house sold for, but on the current information that we have. The listing will be signed and it's time to get started. It's time to then add in that next step, which is getting to agreement with them and moving forward. Now, this is something that we can always just wrap up each appointment with is what questions do you have for me? They will have them, but they're going to go, oh, I don't have any. And you're like, great, let's get started. And then we have the next step. So this is like a whole nother training class because obviously we're going to run out of time and we would have the setting expectations. Here's the next steps. Everything that you ever share with your client, every conversation says, and here's what happens next. And here's what happens next. In today's market, it's all very smart to go ahead and talk about price adjustments at the time of listing. Remember, we have that whole page that says price to sell. And we have lots of training and techniques available today where we can set up the rules and guidelines if we get to 2 weeks on the market and, no showings, no offers. It means the market is rejecting this price. So at that time, let's go ahead and make a smart move to adjust your price to get in front of the right buyers. And then we're going to share the communication plan. That's going to be, hey, it's my on my calendar every week on Thursdays at 1 o'clock that I touch base with my clients. So I'm going to reach out to you at that time. Does that work for you? They're going to be like, yeah, sure. Just leave me a message, shoot me a text, whatever. Understand what's the best form of communication. And now we'll go into some takeaways and ahas because as you guys can see, just with the time that we have, I mean, that's just the pre-combos to get to an appointment, to take the appointment, and to share with them how you're going to work together. And real quick, before I drop us off, if you're not already in my Facebook group, I have a Facebook group called Your Journey with Jennie. Love for you guys to join me in there. And because you joined this free class today, hopefully you got some good nuggets out of it. I do have a program that shares everything that we do inside of our business. And we're offering a little discount, $100 off all of the systems of all of our business that we do and we share. And so you guys could get that. I think we have it turning off here in just a few days or at the end of the week. So if you were interested in that, you can definitely click on that and let me know. But let's just sit for a minute inside of questions. I see Janine's hand is up. She made it safely to her office.
Well, I definitely was not going to have any problems because I had the best driver.
Best driver.
So, uh, so my question is there a difference between a pre-listing packet that you FedEx or can deliver or email versus what you have just shown on when you are at the appointment?
Yeah, so there if you go back and you watch, I have a pre-listing email that gets sent in the through email. I have investigated and attempted in the past to do a pre-listing package that gets delivered to the home. And just for timing and life, and especially in today's world with technology, there's just really not a point of doing that for me, at least. Always will depend on your market, your price point, different things like that. So ours is just by email. And what it would sound like, Janine, is if I was talking to you and you're a seller and I would say, oh, Janine, I'm so excited to meet with you on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock. But in the meantime, make sure you check your email because I'm going to send you a lot of great information that'll save us some time when we get together. So in that email, you'll get to read all about our team and how we work. You'll get our whole presentation on how we're going to market your property and help you achieve your goals. So you're going to make sure you check your email, okay? So that you're really reminding them to do all this pre-work for you. Because the cool part is, Janine, when you get there and they've printed off the seller disclosure or they've got some keys sitting on the countertop, they're at a yes. So we don't want to keep talking and just, talking ourselves out of the business. Does that help?
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
cool. I see Eli.
Thank you.
Yeah, you
Thank you.
bet.
Yes. I was looking into the solo to serve seven figures.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, since it's a pre-recorded
Mhm.
class,
Yeah.
um, and if we have questions, how can we reach you?
100% you can reach me. Yeah, absolutely. I can share all my contact info.
Oh,
And really what you'll find in that is the pre-recording and resource folders with all of the checklists, the systems, the details. So yes, 100% you can message me and I will be able to help you out.
thank you. And the second question is, Jenny, that is, let's say you send those emails with the pre-package or the pre-listing package and everything. When you get to the appointment, let's say they are not ready yet, and do you leave the stuff, the all the, you know, this documentation with them, or you take it with you?
I mean, that's a good question. So it kind of depends if they are like, hey, we're going to think about it and maybe talk to some other agents. I mean, there's a whole like
Hmm.
negotiation conversation
Yeah.
there, but I would probably take with me any documentation. Like
Mhm.
I would not leave things that are valuable. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
our book, it costs some money, right? So like we're not
Right.
going to leave that. I'm not going to leave my folder with the disclosures and contracts for them to sign unless they were like, we are readers, we are going to list with you. Can you leave that so we can review it tonight? I don't know. I might leave some of the documents, right?
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
But
especially the marketing plan, because it's the
yeah,
first time that I'm hearing someone has like 89 points of.
yeah.
I mean, I got to the 18 points so far myself, but
Yeah.
89 is amazing. So,
Well, and if you get a chance and you come back and you glance through what's in our little book here, we send this electronically. So I wouldn't leave it for them physically. Even if they sign the agreement and they work with me, I'll say, "Hey, you've got everything electronically. Do you mind if I just like get all this off your plate?" Because usually sellers don't want any more stuff because they're needing
okay.
this stuff.
All right. Thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it very much.
Yeah.
You calmed me down, so I kind of I love it. Thank you.
Oh, good. Anything else you guys can think of? Was this helpful? Kind of? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mari.
Very, 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 very. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good, good. Well, it's a starting point. And sometimes it just depends on where you are. Today maybe, oh, that was a good reminder. I need to add this into my business or I need to improve on this one thing. And that's just all it is. It's just years and years and years of me having more at bats and more reps of working to make things a little bit better over time for our clients, for our team, for our communication plan, so that we do get to help lots of families because that's the goal. We want to help them achieve what they set out to do. It's a big deal and we should take it seriously. And it is such an honor that we get to help them. So, in today's world, focus on sellers, focus on helping them. That will just attract more business into your life. And as Gary and Jay and Dave say from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, that's the whole goal is seller listings are the gift of the gods. Gift of the gods. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. We'll get this over to you later on. I appreciate you so much.